Hey, my name is Les Fleming, and I am, as of yesterday, I'm 86 years old, and I'm married to Neoma Fleming.
Do you know Grandpa?
Of course. He's my lover.
She is 84 years old. So I live here in Buhler, Kansas, because Neoma is in a nursing home like across the street from here. So it's been really handy for me. We are originally from Hillsboro, and so Neoma was in the Hillsboro Salem home for 2 years and 8 months. And we decided to transfer her to Buhler Sunshine Home, where she is now. And so I thought, well, it's 47 miles to come see her, which I did 3 times a week to start with. And I decided, why should I be so far away? I am going to move to Buhler. I'm getting used to living by myself. That was kind of hard at first, and it's still not fun, but that's the way it goes. Naomi is by herself in a room, but I see her every day. So she has dementia, and she forgets a lot of things and doesn't remember. Since I come every day, she knows me, and so that's very much a blessing to me. Sometimes she doesn't remember our children, but I show her pictures almost every day of our family, so I want her to keep her mind on our family as long as possible. So we work on that. We've been married 64 years. We got married in 1958.
Okay.
You remember what day and month?
I've forgotten.
How about June 23rd?
That sounds about right.
That is about right. It's exactly right. 64, about 60 good years, 4 maybe not so good. No, it's been fine.
Well, how about that?
That was harvest time, and your dad wasn't very happy about us getting married then because he was in the middle of harvest.
That's for sure. He didn't like that.
I think he got over it though, don't you?
We had to.
Yeah. How did we meet? Okay.
Goodness, that goes so far back.
Goes back to grade school, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We actually met because of a move that my parents made when my brothers and I were little. I went to the Abenfeld School near Hillsboro, and we moved to the French Creek School. You know, you were our neighbor girl, and I never paid much attention to you or nothing in grade school. We were in grade school together.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Uh-huh.
I remember what you said about me. You thought I looked so funny because I had dark-rimmed glasses.
Oh, they were brown.
Brown glasses, okay. And you said I looked so funny, is that right?
Something like that.
Yeah. And you know what I thought of you?
No.
I thought you were a skinny little neighbor girl.
Shucks.
You were in the 4th grade, and I was in the 7th grade.
Shucks.
Shucks, yeah. But that all changed as you got older and I got older. Then when you got to high school, I started noticing you more. I had already graduated from high school, or was in the last year of high school, when I really took note of Neoma, Grandma, Mom. She had started high school, and I was still going to ball games in the high school where we both graduated from, and she was going to a ball game one night. And I lived about 3/4 miles from where she lived, and the road to town was between where she lived and I lived, so she had left for town with a friend of hers that she had over for supper. And lo and behold, she had a flat tire on the way to town. And here I come. I was on my way to the same ball game, so I stopped, and I noticed it was her car, her folks' car, so I stopped and I changed her tire for her. You remember the flat tire incident?
Oh, it was on the road.
Yeah, on the road. Where were you going?
I don't remember.
You had a friend over for supper that evening, and you were going to a ball game.
Oh, that's right.
And you were about a little past Walt Cleaver's driveway, and then you had a flat tire.
Darn.
What?
Darn.
Oh, darn. Yeah, that was darn. But here I was coming down from where I lived.
And you saw me.
I saw you. What did I do?
You stopped to help.
I did. I put your spare on that you had in the trunk.
Okay.
That was your dad's car, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a Chevy.
Yeah. I didn't even remember that, but you remembered it was a Chevy, huh?
I was driving a Chevy.
Okay. And you had a friend along.
Geraldine Nickel.
Geraldine Nickel, that's right. So then I changed your tire for you, and you went on to the ball game, and I did too. I went to the same ball game.
Okay.
We didn't sit together, but you were there and I was there. And you were still in high school. I had graduated maybe 2 years earlier, or a year earlier.
Yeah.
And then I thought, I had noticed you earlier already that, you were our neighbor girl, and I never paid much attention to you or nothing in grade school. I had a revelation right there. I thought, boy, I wonder what have I been missing? Here she's my neighbor girl, and she's growing up, and I thought, wow, she's looking pretty good. You remember where you lived and where I lived?
Yeah, you lived east of me.
Yeah, about 3/4 mile.
Something like that.
Remember what we used to do with lights?
Oh, we'd always blink one on, and then the person that wasn't there blinked the other one.
Yeah. I had a spotlight on my car, and I took it off. I took it upstairs to my bedroom with a battery, and her sister would blink her bedroom light, and I would blink my spotlight. We were 3/4 mile apart.
That's right.
And her sister would blink the room light, and I could just barely see it because it's so far away. Yeah, what did Viola think of that when she had to, because you were at the window and the switch was by the door, she had to do the switching.
Yeah.
What did you do? Did you tell her when to switch?
Uh-huh.
That was fun, wasn't it?
I guess. Then I saw it blink.
You saw me blink, and then you blinked too, didn't you?
Yes, sirree.
I hadn't thought about that for a long time. So here we are.
We don't have to do that anymore.
No, we don't, do we?
No.
I can come see you in person instead of a 3/4 mile away.
That's good.
Yeah, it is good. So, you know, that's where things started. And so we went out on a date. I don't know how much after that. Probably took me a while to get up enough nerve to go ask her if I know me back then. Anyway, we went to a ball game in Council Grove, which was about 40 miles away from Hillsboro. And I don't think we talked much on the way over there. But we sat together at the ball game, and when the game was over, we went to my car, and she walked to my side of the car. And I thought to myself, is she wanting to drive? So I opened the door, and she scooted in about halfway or less. And I got in, and I said, what's going on? And she said, well, we sat together at the ball game. Why couldn't we sit together in the car going home? And I thought, hey, that's all right. So we did. And so that's kind of how our first date went.
Because we were both in high school.
Well, it was after I graduated, actually.
Oh, that's...
And I remember I was working in town at Buller Manufacturing.
That's right.
You know where that was on Main Street?
North Main.
Yep, it was on North Main. And during our lunch break, I would come by the high school and pick you up over the noon hour.
Goody, goody, goody.
I saw you stand at the door every day when I drove up to the high school.
I was waiting for you.
Yeah, you were. I don't know if you ever got to eat lunch during those days when I picked you up.
I don't remember.
Because that was during your lunch break.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, and we had a few dates after that. I remember one time, I had a 1940 Ford at that time, a black one.
Yeah.
Do you remember that car?
Yeah, my hand got all dirty on the...
Yeah, I was just going to bring that up. I had driven in the mud, and the mud got on the side of the car and on the door handle.
Yes, sirree.
And then when you opened the door to open it, you got your hand all full of mud.
That's right, I did. Then I was in trouble.
Yeah, you were in trouble, but we got you cleaned up, didn't we?
Sure.
I guess we did.
Evidently.
Yeah. Anyway, then I got you back to school when you were supposed to be back, and I had to go back to work, so we did that almost every day, I think, for a while.
Wow.
Most of our dates were by letter because I was gone a lot. You know, we didn't have many dates, did we? Because I was gone so much.
Right.
I was in Denver, you know, at Fitzsimmons.
That's right.
I was in a program in Denver at Fitzsimmons Army Hospital, where I was, it's called a food test subject. I called it a guinea pig. So I was gone a lot of the time, and then I also in summer, after I got done with that program, I worked for Barkman Honey Company, and that work was in Artesian, South Dakota. So we didn't see each other much then either, but we wrote letters. When I was at Fitzsimmons, we didn't miss very many days of writing.
Did I do that?
Yeah, we wrote letters to each other.
Okay.
Especially when I was in Fitzsimmons. You remember the box? You may not remember this, but I have a box of letters at home.
Oh,
That you wrote to me and that I wrote to you.
Huh.
That's kind of how we dated for a long time because I was hardly ever home. I have a box in my closet that has maybe 150 letters in it that we wrote back and forth to each other. So we got to know each other through the mail, mostly. It was January 8. I brought a diamond for you.
Wow.
1957. Let's see your diamond. It's still there, isn't it?
Isn't it pretty?
Yeah. Anyway, Mom wanted to get married before she finished high school. And I said, no way, you're going to finish high school first. So in 1958, she graduated, and about 2 weeks later, we got married. So we didn't waste much time. We got married later, and then we both moved to Evanston, Illinois.
Oh, yes, sirree.
Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And you worked for Hoffman Electronics.
Yeah.
You put little tiny parts together. You remember that place at all, or is that too long ago?
I can't remember the place, but I remember the name.
Yeah, and then you worked at the hospital too,
Oh,
as a nurse aide for a while. Or I don't know if it's called nurse aide, but you worked in that same hospital where I was a cook there, which was completing my 1W service, they called it. And so I was working there, and I had to go back to Denver every 6 months for 2 years to get a physical done because I was in that food test program. And I don't know, they never told us about what the tests were about. We just ate what they said, and they watched us pretty close. We could do what we wanted to during the days, so we went to the mountains a lot of days. There were 12 guys in that program, and it was quite interesting, actually. But a friend of mine couldn't tolerate the food, so he wanted to transfer out. And they said, well, once you're in here, you can't transfer out until the program's over. But he talked to somebody that got him out, and he wanted me to get out with him. So, and I had no excuse really, but I think the Lord worked this out. Anyway, we both got out. That's when we went to Evanston, Illinois to complete our program, or our 1W service. We had to start over, our 2-year program, of course, but I think that was about the best time of my life, those couple of years when we were there. Although we got married during the time I was there. You remember where I got that?
I don't remember.
I bought it in Mitchell, South Dakota.
Oh, yeah. I should have remembered that.
Remember what we did back here one time?
No?
Look how thin that is.
Oh, boy.
You actually wore that through. Let's see, that's your engagement ring. No, that's your wedding ring. So we had a jeweler solder that together with gold. See there, that's soldered together.
The sirree.
And now it's one piece.
Isn't that something?
Yeah. So I remember the day we got engaged, but that was a cold night. I remember that. It was January 4.
Oh.
8. January 8.
January 8.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
One of the trips back to Denver for a physical included our wedding. So we drove to Denver, my friend and I. Jim Barkman was his name, and so he had a girlfriend in Hillsboro also. So we made that a quick trip to Denver and back, and while we were home, we got married, and So then we were home only 3 more days after the wedding, and we packed up my 53 olds I had at that time and headed for Illinois. Jim Barkman and I had rented an apartment where we lived, and so I had to boot him out, which he suggested that. It wasn't my idea. So we rented, Naomi and I rented that apartment for the duration of, well, it wasn't the whole time. We moved once after that. And Jim moved into the dorm that the hospital had there for their workers. So then, after I was done with that, I worked for Barkman Honey Company for another couple of years until Janita was born. And then we decided that gypsy life wasn't for us anymore. So then I quit that job, and I had worked with the bees for 10 years. I think that's probably the most enjoyable job I ever had. Yeah, we lived in South Dakota for a while, artesian with the Barkmans. Remember when Les was born?
He was sick.
Yeah, he had a surgery when he was 3 days old, didn't he?
Isn't that something?
And then they took him to Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Oh my, that's right.
And that was like 150 miles from there. And the doctor, there were 2 nurses on the ambulance. They said he had died 3 times on that trip.
God, that was really something.
And then he was there for 6 weeks in an incubator. After they had a surgery on him. You remember that?
No.
His intestines were not connected. I mean, there was a blockage in his intestine. So they had to cut that blockage out, and then they sewed his intestine back this way, not this way.
That's right.
The doctor said they sewed it this way because it was more of a place for the food to go.
That's really something.
Yep, and then 6 weeks later they called and said, you can come get your son.
Wow.
Of course, we went there many times in between.
Mm-hmm.
But those were hard days, weren't they?
Yeah, they were the hardest days we had.
I think so too. But now he's a big boy.
Yes.
He's married to Cora.
Oh.
And they have 2 children.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. We bought a little house in Hillsboro, and I started working for Joel Franz, which is Naomi's uncle, and he had a store where he sold carpet and drapery and furniture, so he taught me how to lay carpet, and that's many years ago. I laid carpet for 50 plus years, maybe 51 or 52 years, not just for him, but my brother-in-law, Virgil Peters, and I bought Joel Franz's carpet business, and then we ran that for, well, I worked for Joel for 10 years, and then Virgil and I ran that for 40 years, and then he wanted out, so I bought him out, and then I ran it another 10 years with Naomi. Then we sold the business to a Holderman couple, and he told me he would buy it on one condition, and if I would teach him how to lay carpet. And I thought, well, yeah, you can't run a carpet store without knowing how to lay carpet. So he said, if you lay carpet for 1 year for me, then I'll let you go. So I did that. I went on 2 jobs with him, and he said, Les, this isn't for me, but I'm going to hire a young guy and you teach him. So I said, okay, I'll do that. They're Holderman people, and they have friends from their church, which he hired then, and I worked with him for a year. And then he said one day, Les, you've completed your obligation. He says, you can go, he said, but I'd sure like to keep you on. So I thought, well, I feel good. I can work a while yet. So I worked another year laying carpet. I was near 70 years old then. Not sure exactly how old, maybe 71. And then I told Stuart, the guy that bought our business, that I just would have to quit because I can't handle lugging the carpets and stuff up stairway and all that. So what he did, he gave me the smaller jobs, like the bedrooms, smaller rooms, and smaller apartments. And what he would do is he brought the carpet into the house that I was to lay, and the padding, and he put it in the room I was to lay it, so I didn't have to drag the carpet around. So he wanted to keep me so bad, he did as much for me as he could to keep me working. So I did that for another couple of months, and I told him one day I can't carry my toolbox up the stairway anymore. So he said, well, how about if you do my repair work and restretches? He said, would you want to do that? And I said, well, I can do that if I don't have to carry carpets around anymore. So I worked another year for him doing that, and I really enjoyed that. All I had to do was get my tools and repair. There were many things I could say that I did that I learned in 50 years of carpet laying, concerning repair work. And I really enjoyed that a lot until I just had enough. I told Stuart, well, I'm going to quit now. And he said, yeah, I knew that was coming. So he let me go. And that's about the time when Grandma started having some problems with her remembering things, and so we started dealing with that. I took care of her at home from 2011 to 2016, and things were progressing negatively that whole time. She had a fall, and she broke her neck at two places, C1 and C2 vertebra. They took her by ambulance to Wichita, and they took x-rays there. Actually, they took x-rays in Hillsboro and sent them with her to Wichita. They found out her brake was stable. They wouldn't have to repair it, screw it together, or whatever they do. So she was there only 3 days, and then we had to find a place for her to recuperate, which was Salem Home in Hillsboro. And that fall did a lot of damage to her, and she never went back home after that. So that was the beginning of our nursing home years, which we're still experiencing today. We had a sale of our property in Hillsboro, and we're totally Buellerites right now. Yeah, the question was how our marriage has been affected by Naomi's illness. Well, most of the time during our married life, we had our separate businesses. Naomi had her business, and I, of course, had the carpet business with her in the last years, but she had to give that up, of course, much earlier than 2011. Our love for each other has grown, I would say, much more since all this because of my care for her. I think I loved her. I loved her all our married life, but I think our love is much stronger now than it was the first 40 years. And that's really a good thing. You know, she didn't ask for this, and our marriage vows said, you know, it's for life, for better or for worse. We had good days, we've had bad days, and I'm glad we still have each other.
Oh, I am too. I don't know what I'd do without you.
Well, I appreciate that, and I don't know what I'd do without you either. So, as long as you're here, I'll come and help what I can.
Okay.
So, I'm just glad we love each other.
That's for sure. We love each other.
Mm-hmm. That's the way it's supposed to be, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I remember our wedding vows. We're to care for each other through hard times and good times. So that's what we're doing.
Yes, sirree.
Yes, sirree. And I'm glad you don't have any pain. You don't have pain, do you?
No, none at all.
That's a blessing, too.
It's wonderful.
Yeah. So, if this is the for worse, then that's what it is. We'll take it. And for life, yep, that's for life. We both know that, and I feel it's my responsibility to make her as happy as I can from a distance. Of course, she gets good care here. She gets everything she needs, but she's always so happy to see me come every day. And that's good. I hope she remembers who I am for a long time yet. So what do you think of this place? Do you like being here?
Yeah, it's nice.
They take care of you?
Uh-huh.
That's good. They bring you food to eat?
Everything.
Everything you need, right?
Yeah.
That's a blessing, isn't it?
Yeah.
We never know when we're younger what things will be like when we get older. It's probably good we don't know, isn't it?
Yeah. It is.
Because if we knew what tomorrow was, we'd probably worry about it.
Probably.
So we just take one day at a time, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, I'm thankful for a lot of things. I don't know what I'd be most thankful for. I guess I would say at this point, I'm thankful that I have the love for Neoma that I do, and I still have the energy. I have my own issues too, but I'm thankful for our family. We have 3 children, we have 12 grandchildren, and we have 17 great-grandchildren. And that's a wonderful thing. I'm enjoying the grandchildren and great-grandchildren more since I live in Buhler because I'm closer to where they are. I felt like I had been deserted in Hillsboro because our kids all moved away and our grandchildren were at various places, and so maybe the Lord had this in mind. Let's get the family back together. I don't know how the Lord thinks, but I know He's always right, and He's taken care of us all our life. So we still look forward to His love and care for us.
I love him. I love him a lot.
Well, thank you. I love you too.
That's what it takes.
That's what it takes, doesn't it?
Yes.
Talk things through when we disagree, and we agree to disagree sometimes.
Yeah.
So we made it. We made it through this long. We'll make it the rest of the way, won't we?
Sure, why not?
Yeah, why not?
Well, now we're done talking.
Now we're done talking.
Done talking.
All right. It's a long time ago, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Well, we did a lot of things, but they were all good.
Yeah.